Hello and welcome.
Hello.
My name is Johannes and I'm working for a Scandinavian hi-fi retailer called HiFi Klubben. And I'm lucky enough to be invited here to the Hegel headquarters in Oslo, Norway, together with...
I'm Andreas and I work for Hegel in the sales department of Hegel. And we're here in beautiful Oslo, in the Hegel listening lab actually right now.
With some pretty exciting news. First of all, a little bit of technical information and stuff. Please let us know if there's any, sound errors or any technical stuff like that. We'd like to correct them as soon as possible if there is any. Also, if you have any questions about, anything related to the new product or anything else, feel free to post them in the comments. We have a dedicated guy listening or watching the comments, and he can tell us so we can answer them. Yep. We're also quite curious, like where this is a worldwide stream, our first worldwide stream, and we're wondering, like, where are you watching from? Like, I know somewhere it's in the middle of the night right now.
Yep.
For us, it's 7 in the evening. It's a perfect time for us, but yeah. Should we have aimed for some different time? Just let us know. With that out of the way, we have, most of the viewers, I would guess, they know who Hegel is, because I'm guessing it's mostly your followers that are participating.
Yeah.
But maybe we could go a little bit over the story of Hegel before we start, in case it's someone plopping by that doesn't know that much about the brand and what you stand for and everything.
Absolutely. Well, we stand for high quality sound, basically. So we've been designing quality audio electronics for the mass producing quality audio electronics for over 25 years now.
Wow.
And we have a massive lineup of different products in our museum. So we've been through most of the electronic components you can have in an audio system and have dedicated expertise to everything.
Yeah, so you're mostly on the electronic side. You don't do speakers and stuff, but
we don't do speakers or mechanical chassis, of course, but not like these things or turntables or that. But we do CD players.
Yeah.
So electronics, and we are quite a small company compared to a lot of the big guys, but we're very dedicated to what we do, and we're compared to a lot of hi-fi companies out there, we are solely owned by our founder and CEO, and he's actually the main electronic engineer and designs all the stuff we're going to be talking about today.
Yeah, so he's still on the on the floor with you guys and not in some jet somewhere.
No, absolutely. He has his open office corner desk where he sits and works on this gear. I mean, the main reason why this product we're going to launch is so good is because of his engineering know-how.
Yeah, can't wait to hear about it.
It's very cool.
Yeah. So, like the products, they're like we're in your headquarters right now. This doesn't look like a very research and development kind of place, but does that also happen here?
It does. This is a Hegel listening lab. It's also used for stuff like this, or when we have guests over to show them what we're all about. But we use extensively to listening to our gear in the final processes of developing. Most of our development is done by measurements, and we have on the lab over there we have a lot of equipment to measure everything, but the final stuff always needs to be done by ear because the human ear is so damn sensitive. Exactly. So we need that input. We do.
Yeah, it's nice that you have this listening room that you can just run back and forth between the R&D and then listening
and we actually do. In the final stages we are so excited about the new stuff, but what if we change out the transistor here? Maybe that is what is holding it tiny bit back, and then we do that and we get it in here. The measurements of course always stay the same, that's the key point, but we get those tiny improvements that make it nice. Just perfect.
And speaking of new products, I mean, we are here today for a very specific reason.
Yes.
And I guess as some of you might have guessed, It's here in the room with us today.
Yes, yes, it's here.
Should we just do it already?
Yeah, let's do it.
Just
let's unveil it.
Get the cat out of the bag.
So the product we are launching today, and which will go live on our webpage as we do this, hopefully, is the D50 reference DAC, digital to analog converter.
Wow.
Yes.
My immediate thought is, first of all, very, very cool.
Yes, thank you.
I can already read the comments coming in, like a duck. I'm guessing people will be split down the middle.
Yep.
So, some will already get it, like this is really cool.
Yeah.
And for the other half, why a duck? What's special about this compared to, because you know, a duck you can find built into basically every amplifier now, every streamer.
Yep.
Why should you invest in a dedicated, you know, reference duck like this compared to one of those?
Well, I mean, yes, all things that receive a digital signal and transmit it analogly will have a DAC inside. And you're right, most streamers and stuff do have a DAC inside. We have DACs inside all of our products as well.
In our amplifiers.
In our amplifiers, of course we do. But this is like the racehorse. It's the peak performance machine. So this one is dedicated only DAC. It doesn't have an amplifier inside. It doesn't have a volume control. It doesn't even have network input, so there's no streaming or anything. It's a dedicated DAC because when we do that, we can get the absolute most out of this product.
Wow.
And of course for us, we've been out without a DAC for quite a long time.
You say for quite a long time, so it's not the first time?
No, it's
doing this?
definitely not the first time. And we've been known for making high-quality DACs. It's one of the reasons Hegel became internationally known was because of our DACs. But for several reasons, there was a pandemic, there was other priorities, there was chip shortages, DAC chip factory burnt down, stuff like that. It took some time to find like the right flow and the time for us to make this dedicated, really high-end equipment. Because it takes time and effort to make something like this.
Yeah, because the last one that was in 2015, right?
When it came to market, yes, but it stayed in the market for a long time. So
yeah, of course,
around 2020, I think we discontinued it.
Okay, so we've been out the high-end, reference Hegel DAC for 3 years.
3-4 years, yeah.
3-4 years. Yeah. About time.
About time.
Yeah.
About time.
You said that your rise to fame was through partly DACs and everything. Was that
Absolutely.
only because of the HD30, or?
Well,
there have been more, right?
No, there were plenty more. We actually have some of them behind us here, coincidentally.
Funny you should ask.
Yeah, funny you should ask. So we actually started producing DACs before we were a mass-producing company. So this DAC we have here, it's called a D3, and it is the first DAC Hegel ever made, and it was made in 1996.
This DAC is older than me.
Okay, very good. But back then, nobody saw the sense of having a dedicated DAC for anything. It's more for pro use and stuff, but for hi-fi, not so much. Because, I mean, the only medium which was digital was the CD player. And those CD players usually had the DAC and quite decent inside as well.
Sounded good enough.
Yeah, but as you can see, it had a dedicated power supply. So that's the power supply for this DAC. And that's actually quite important and something we've brought with us into our newer components, the importance of having clean power. And we'll talk a bit more about that when we talk more about this product.
Nice.
Yeah. And then we made a lot of CDs like this beautiful Viking with DACs inside because that was what the market wanted.
Yeah.
But then let me check my notes here, in 2007 we came out with this. Well, not looking like this. This was like a celebratory model that we used at shows to get some attention.
Yeah, I'm guessing not all of them look like this.
No, they were quite black and austere, like most of our products. It's clean Scandinavian design, but we wanted to break with that just to make it pop a bit more. So we had a Norwegian graffiti artist paint this for us, and it's been with us ever since. But that was the first unit which had an inboard USB DAC, and that sort of started the trend of Hegel being known for their integrated amplifiers with DACs inside, which was quite revolutionary at the time.
Yeah. Nice.
And then,
No, I was just gonna move on a bit and like ask you why a DAC? Why now? What's the thought behind this specific product? Is it something that a lot of people have asked for, or something that you feel is missing on the market right now? Like,
no, definitely not missing on the market. There are plenty of DACs on the market, just not from Hegel. Yes, this is part of our reference lineup, which has the Viking, the P30A, the H30A preamp power amplifiers. And of course, we needed something to have other digital sources connected as well.
On that level.
On that level,
exactly.
Yes, absolutely. But also because we wanted to see, okay, how far can we push this technology? In our newest integrated amplifiers that were launched last year and the year before, of course, we had really good DACs inside. But what happened if you took it one step further and really pushed the envelope? And this, for us, is one of those passion projects. We don't necessarily think it's the thing that's going to have the most commercial success, because it's a very niche product. It doesn't have any bells and whistles. It is what it is.
It does one thing extremely well.
Yes, exactly. And we've had projects like that in the past, like the Mohican CD player, for instance, was one of those projects. It got cancelled by our when we calculated how much money we were going to make on it. Was basically net loss. So, but that's the benefit of being a smaller company, where the head engineer really has the passion. I want to see, okay, how far can I push it? How much better can I make it if I do it my way? And I don't care if we make money out of this specific product. I just want it.
Yeah. And want to see if it's possible to make this and have it be as good as it is.
And that was what happened with the V10 as well, the phono stage we had. It didn't start out that way, but it became sort of like a passion project. And this one is the same. Okay, how far can we push this technology? And the result is this D50.
As you know, a salesperson that has been on the floor for several years and seen all these Hegel products being introduced, I can say from experience that the Mohican, one of the first passion products, was actually my first like proper wow experience in hi-fi. Listened to just a streamer on, I think it was 800 series by Bowers & Wilkins. Also with actually the H30 power amplifier from Hegel. Very good system from before. Listen to the same song on streaming and then on the Mohican CD player. That's the first time my jaw dropped completely. I didn't know that digital had such a, scope. Like it can be so much better than just the basic streaming setup.
Absolutely. And it is very hard. I mean, you can get it good. That's quite easy. Getting it great, that is very hard.
That takes effort.
That takes a lot of effort and a lot of know-how, which not all companies have. We have been working on this since forever, as you can see. And that's one of the reasons why we excel at it, because we have been chipping away at it for so long. So we know what really makes a difference in a DAC. So this HD10 was the first standalone DAC we had.
The small one?
And that was that main reason for success. Because that came out in 2009. And what happened in 2008, do you remember?
I might have seen it in the notes somewhere that Spotify released or launched.
Spotify launched in 2008. And suddenly everyone understood that there are more digital sources than just a CD. And then that sort of got the ball running.
Yeah, nice. So that's when the international boom started, and
Yeah, it was absolutely
started rolling. Yeah.
So thank you, Swedes and Spotify. That was nice of you to launch streaming. Someone else would have done it either way. But
yeah, I guess so. Bound to happen.
Yeah.
I see also there's a really small little thing on top here.
Yes.
What's this?
I don't know if it was a passion project. It was
Certainly a project.
It was a project. No, but it is a small DAC. It's a small headphone DAC. So we have a USB, mini USB, micro USB.
Yeah.
And then the headphone out here. So it's a really, 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 really good headphone DAC. The problem is it hit the market a bit too soon, so it wasn't like mature yet, the premium headphone market, and it was perceived as a bit costly. So yeah, but it's still a good product. Everyone at Hegel has one of these at home on their desktop in the office, but yeah, sadly not a huge success.
Yeah, and can you still get them?
Yes, on the used market you can find them. So they're still around 100.
It's a discontinued product.
100 euros or something like that. Used.
Seems like good for money.
Yeah,
anyways, we're here to talk, of course, mostly about this product. I'm guessing a lot of people at home is wondering, of course, how does this DAC sound? That's a big question. That's in the end, I think the most important part. How does it sound?
Absolutely. It sounds well. I'm a bit. I'm not impartial. I mean, but from what I hear, it is not just like removing a veil and adding some more details. It is an expansiveness that you get when you plug this in, which is just a huge soundstage this direction and a huge downstage in this direction as well. So when you sit and listen to the music, every little detail gets clearer, but it's not like thrown in your face and overemphasizing anything. It's there and you can pick it out in 3D space, and it's like the sound just comes out in a whole more natural manner. It's like being live.
Yeah.
In an extent I've never actually experienced that immediate, oh my God, this difference with the product. Not even our products, but this is just mind-boggling.
It's
but that's what I think.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. That's pretty aligned actually with my experience. I've been here 2 times over the last weeks and gotten to listen to the product a little bit in advance, of course. So I also know a little bit what we're talking about here. And that's almost exactly the sound difference I hear as well. At the moment it's plugged in and used as a DAC, it's like you're adding a multiplier to the entire soundstage. So like the X direction, the Y direction, the Z direction, it's like just blowing it up. It's like you take the speakers and make them bigger and place them further apart, while keeping the definition and everything. It's and funnily enough, that's kind of the same difference I perceived way back with the Mohican.
All right.
When I compared that to a streamer as well, it's just like opens up and way more effortless and laid back in the sound. Yeah,
and I also think these speakers sort of disappear a bit more. The music stands out, the gear sort of disappears a bit.
You're hearing the musicians, the vocalists, everything. That sounds kind of cliche in our business, but it really has that effect. I think we're after.
Yeah, no, but I'm glad you hear the same things I do.
I can attest that I hear those things as well. Yeah,
I mean, I'm sure by now there's some reviews and stuff already online. The embargo was until 7 and it's 20 past. So if you multitask, you can probably find some external people telling you something
but
about
don't
this.
leave the stream quite yet, because we still have a lot to talk about.
Yeah, absolutely.
Check it out afterwards.
Multitasking is
and of course, when the time comes, do give it a demo and listen to it. But other than the sound, like maybe we should talk a little bit about some of the specs underneath that make it sound so great.
Or the what it is. I mean, you have a aluminum chassis on it, which helps with the sound. You have a clear display right here, which is like the usual Hegel display. It doesn't do very much. How do you turn it on? Well, there's some buttons underneath here where you can turn it on. And you can also enter the menu and change the sources by pressing those. And you, of course, have the remote as well.
Yeah, that's nice.
Yeah. On the other than that, it is very unassuming. It doesn't have any knobs or anything like that, and that's because it only does one thing.
It doesn't need it if it's only doing the digital to analog conversion really, really good.
Yeah. And on the back side, we can see here you have the inputs, where you have a USB input, you have two optical inputs, you have the coaxial digital input, and then you also have the BNC coaxial digital input and an ASEBU balanced digital input. On the output side, the whole thing is, of course, fully balanced on the output. So I prefer using the XLR connections, but you also have some really nice RCA connectors to connect that.
Looking really solid.
Yeah, they are.
Nice.
And that's basically all the inputs.
Yeah, resolution-wise,
Well,
how is that looking?
Let's use my cheat sheet because there's so many things to say.
Yeah.
So the ASEBU and the coaxial BNC and the coaxial RCA, they're all 2492, and they do DSD64 over DOP.
Yeah.
And they are MQA8X capable, all those inputs. All inputs are MQA8X capable.
That's nice.
Yeah, the optical is, of course, because of the standard, limited to 2496.
Yeah, so that's not the DAC's fault, that's the
standard.
Optical standard, yeah.
I mean, you can probably push it a bit further. If the connections are right, if the connected gear is right, you might get 196, but it's not... 192, sorry,
but it's not rated for it.
It's not rated for it, so
exactly.
we can't guarantee it.
Yeah,
and then you have the USB, which is insane. It's 32384. So if you can find a file in that file size, please try it.
Yeah, good luck.
Yeah, and it's DSD 256 or the DOP, and of course MQA as well.
Nice.
Yeah.
Awesome. Maybe it's worth to talk a little bit about some specific use cases for this, because spoiler alert, already know that it has a pretty special interaction with Hegel amplifiers.
Yeah.
Stuff like that. Like who would consider this product, or who should consider this product?
Everyone should consider this product. No, I don't know. If you have quality gear, I mean, you need to have quality gear to get something out of this. It is, well, any gear will probably sound better, but the better gear you have, the more of how good this is will you hear.
Yeah, of course. It is a reference product.
It is a reference product. But hook it up to any good amplifier, which maybe has a DAC inside or doesn't have a DAC inside, and you want to improve upon what you have. If you have a streamer, which you're using the internal DAC of the streamer, this could be a major improvement for any products out there. But of course, if you connect it to Hegel, you might have an additional advantage, because some of our integrated amplifiers for quite some years now have had something called a DAC loop, where you can get the features that are in the amplifier, improve them a bit, and give this DAC, that signal, a bit improved input signal, if you like. It's clocked once in the internal DAC of your Hegel amplifier, and then returned to the amplifier again.
Yeah, so just to reiterate that, or summarize, you can use all of the digital inputs on your Hegel amplifier.
Yeah.
And the Hegel amplifier would just route all the digital inputs through this DAC and then back again into the analog balanced input.
Yeah.
As if it was a part of the amplifier itself.
As if it is a complete part of that amplifier. And the nice thing is this one has auto standby on all inputs.
Oh, yeah.
Except the ASEBU, that's a bit different. But in all the other ones, it has auto switch on, so to say. So it powers on when it receives the signal. The ASEBU doesn't power it on, but it can switch once it's powered on.
Yeah, okay.
But that means that it will automatically switch to whatever input it gets. That's nice for anything connected, but especially with the Hegel, you can just start streaming to your amplifier, whatever streaming method you want. The newest ones have Google Calls, Tidal Connect, what have you, and its own app, and this one will start automatically.
Yeah, and just be a part of that.
And just be a part
experience.
of it. And you can even dim this display so it is almost always dark. So if you don't want to see it at all, it will just be there automatically whenever you need it and just improve upon the sound.
Awesome.
Yeah, it is quite awesome. And I've been using this at home for some months now, and with my H600, I think I have now. And
you think?
Well, we swap around a lot because
so.
We test out different stuff.
Yeah.
But it's an amazing improvement, and I don't even think about it being there anymore. Yeah. I only think about it if I unplug it, because then I miss it.
Of course. And I can kind of envision the questions about this. Questions I have as well. Of course, you have kind of the same digital inputs on the DAC as you do on the amplifiers themselves.
Yep.
Will there be any sound disadvantage to using the digital inputs on the amplifier that you then send out and then back again, as opposed to using the ones on the DAC? And
sending it directly and just using the DAC directly? Well, it probably depends on the input you're using. So for the SPDIF inputs, which is a stream of ones and zeros, basically it's no communication with what it's sending, then that one, connecting it to an amplifier, one of our amplifiers, will that DAC will clock the signal once. So this one will receive an already treated digital signal. Okay, so it will be better. For the network, I would always go with the internal one, because then you have the streamer and everything. As long as you use that streamer, that's what I do. If the quality is any better, I don't know, but this one doesn't have a network input, so it doesn't matter. So you don't have a choice. For the USB, I would venture to believe, because it's a two-way communication, that maybe hooking it up directly will be the best solution. But feel free to check it out yourself. But then actually for example, the BNC or the coaxial optical inputs, it's probably actually better to route it through the amp. It will be better. Because of the reclocking? Yes. Absolutely. That's awesome. Yeah. You get an extra little added benefit from using the Hegel amplifiers together with the D50. Yeah. I don't know. I don't remember if we told or talked specifically like what amplifiers support that feature. Yeah. From our lineup, it was the H300 started with it, the H360, the H390, the H400, which is out now. And then we have the H590 and the H600, which is out now. Yeah, it's quite a lot. It's quite a lot. It's all of our like premium integrated amplifiers have had that for a lot of years now. Yeah, and I guess that's also the products that makes maybe the most sense for this to be paired up with. Yes, but I mean, if if you want to pair it up with one of our lower end models, they are still insanely good amplifiers, and this one will improve upon their sound. That is no question about it. If it's worth it for you personally and your wallet, that's sort of up to you to decide, but you need to listen to it to decide. Yeah, I mean, one of the tests we did here was comparing Hegel H360, so an older amplifier, against a much newer, I think it was the H400. And then using the DAC together with the H360, and then comparing that to only the H400 standalone. And I mean, I'm not going to say one was better than the other, but that's definitely something to experiment with. Absolutely, it's close. And you might prefer actually going for a DAC instead of buying a whole new amplifier. It's at least not as expensive as buying the amplifier. So yeah, depends on if you have enough power or not for your speakers, of course. But that might. But that's up to everyone to decide. Of course, test it out. It is. It is. The DAC chip in this, I'm also guessing some people are curious about, like what's underneath the hood here. Well, So the DAC type is a delta sigma DAC, or sigma delta, depends on which school you are attending. But it's the same thing. And it's a ES Sabra chip, and it's a ES 90, what is it called again?
The 9039?
The 9039 QM2.
Yeah.
Q2M. Oh, why do they make them so long, these
Very
names?
charming names.
But it's the latest chip from ESS. It's the best stereo chip they have, basically.
Yeah.
But for us, that isn't really important. We've used chips from other manufacturers before, AKM, as we use in the Viking, for instance. For us, it's a tool. It doesn't really, it's a bit of a sound difference between the different producers, but that's not a lot. It is a tool to get those specs that I was talking about, those bit rates and stuff. That is what it does. What's important to get the great sound is something completely different. So all these DAC chip manufacturers, and there's only a handful in the world, so we can't like make them from bottom up. Well, we could, but it would be illogical.
Yeah.
These DAC chip manufacturers, they give you a blueprint. Okay, if you do it like this, you have a DAC. Here you go.
Yeah, you can sort of follow a recipe.
Follow a recipe and you get a DAC. And that is a good DAC. I mean, if you follow that recipe to the letter, you will have an end result which is a good DAC.
Yeah.
But it's not a great DAC. There is so much more in that chip if you do it correctly. If you really know what's going on inside that little chip, you can get so much more out of it than that blueprint recipe.
Yeah, so that's where all of your, like the
that
Hegel
is
R&D.
our expertise, because our Bent, the CEO of Hegel, the founder, he's been, back in the day, he started developing those kind of chips, the other way around, the AD converter, but still, he knows what goes on into it and how to make it sound as good as possible. And that's what we've been working on implementing in this one. And there's a whole lot of really nifty technology that goes into making it sound as good as possible.
Yeah, because you said that the chip itself doesn't really matter that much.
Nope.
What then is the stuff that matters?
That matters.
Much? Yeah.
Yeah. So, let's start with the power handling, which is really, really important. Hence the external power supply there.
Yeah, because here there's no external power supply.
No, it's internal. Just because nobody wants a thing like that.
Yeah.
But it's internal. But we've done a lot to it. So. There's a filter on the mains input, which actually filters out a lot of noise from the mains. And this is, if you have a grounded mains network circuit, you can actually hear this on connected gear as well. It becomes quieter, it becomes better. Depends on the gear, but at least with Hegel gear or analog class AB gear, you get a calmer sounding system just by plugging it into the socket you are using.
So it's not even connected to the system,
no.
Just by having it on the same power circuit.
Yeah,
it
can act as a mains filter.
Wow.
That's kind of cool, but that's not what it's designed for. But it does that as well. It's a byproduct. It's a byproduct. It's designed to minimize the noise coming from the mains inside this unit.
Will that somehow compete with other, power conditioners or filters?
Not to our experience, no. We had it's not actually a filter or conditioner, but it's a Power Quest from
AudioQuest.
AudioQuest, yeah. That works fine, and I would venture to believe that it just adds on top of that.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
I mean, some of this stuff was in the HD30, which we have over there, the older DAC. So we've now had no one else telling us other than that this really works.
Yeah, I mean the HD30 is also kind of a legend in our the retail branch that I'm in, where the people are telling the young kids about there was a product where you could just plug it in and everything sounded better. It doesn't have to be connected.
The magic is back.
Yeah.
But that's not okay.
That's not the point.
No, that's not the point. But it makes the power inside it more silent.
Yeah.
And then you have two toroidal transformers over here, really low noise toroidal transformers, so you get the filtered power into those. And that's way over here away from the analog inputs, which are over here. And why two toroidal transformers? Well, we have one for the more noisy parts of the digital electronics, and then and that is also used for the auto standby function when it turns off and on if it receives a signal. And then we have one for the more delicate and easily suspectable analog and digital stuff in the amplifier. And then that power is also filtered before it goes out to all the different components.
Wow.
So that's the power handling. And the reason we do that is to get the timing right.
Yeah.
So
What timing is that? Like what timing?
Right now it's like it is a DAC is like a fancy calculator, a really advanced calculator. Its job is to take a row of ones and zeros and calculate that row of ones and zeros into a analog waveform. Yeah. So what it does is says that all these ones and zeros in this part of the stream of ones and zeros, that is a value. And that value is a point on this analog waveform.
Yep.
And you get all these points, and then you can trace that back and make an analog sound which comes out of the speaker. That is what it does.
That's what the DAC does, yeah.
Yeah. And there's a whole lot of things that it can make the, because this is a really fast calculator. It needs to calculate really fast, and the higher the better, the more it needs to calculate. But if there's a delay in the signal, if something goes wrong in the handover of that signal somewhere along the path, you can have a small time delay, which in the digital domain is called a jitter, or a jitter in general. And that time delay can make that DAC, the chip we were talking about, calculate a bit differently than what it's supposed to.
Tiny variance to those small values or timings.
Which means that the wave that it produces on the other end is also different. So it's not the original signal.
No, just tiny bit altered.
Tiny bit altered, and also tiny bit camouflaged, because it can sort of camouflage the sounds that were supposed to be there. So they're gone. And those are the small nuances, the small things that makes an instrument sound like it's an old violin instead of a brand new one from a different manufacturer. Those timbres that make it sound unique. The voice is unique for that singer, and so on.
It's kind of what we talked about earlier, where you don't feel like you're listening to the speakers and the system any longer. You're actually hearing the sounds that they're producing. That's that layer, removed the jitter layer and everything.
Absolutely.
Left with a pure sound with life.
And for Hegel, timing is the most essential thing in everything we do. And in this case, it's quite extreme because it's in ones and zeros that goes really, really fast. So we need to be very precise about it. But we have it in our amplifiers as well with the sound engine technology we use, which is a feed-forward loop that works in real time as the amplifier is working. As the amplifier is amplifying the signal. That is also a time issue. We have a damping factor on our amplifiers, which is great, so that these guys move as they should and not for longer and camouflage other stuff. And in the DAC, it's the same. It's only you need to be crazy advanced to make it perfect. Now the DAC itself is really good, but it needs a pure signal in to be able to translate it correctly, because if something goes wrong on the way to the DAC chip itself, then it doesn't matter how good the DAC is. And that is what we're working with here. So we have, inside this one, you have a lot of PCBs or boards where different components are placed. And they all have their own power supplies, local power supplies on top of what I've been talking about now, that control the power so that these sections work precisely timed as they should all the time. So you don't get something called phase shift, which again introduces jitter. And the boards are separated, and they have localized power supplies to make this as good of signal into the DAC as possible. And then further along in the analog stage, the same, but especially before the DAC stage, that's when it's key to get the timing right.
Wow.
And we have several clocks inside that does the same thing, that works on different inputs and stuff. So that's where the magic is.
Damn.
Yeah.
That's really cool. I just wanted to really quickly remind the watchers that, of course, it's possible to ask us questions or comment on the way. Is there any relevant questions right now that we should address, or should we move on?
Johan is asking if we can see with the display turned on.
Yes, absolutely.
Could we see the display turned on? Someone was asking. No problemo.
Yes, let's turn the display on. So, well, as you can see,
Static couch.
static couch. This is the display, and everything is static because it's wool. But here you have the different inputs. You have the selectors underneath. So here's the buttons, which you also saw on power up. I don't know if you can zoom in. Yeah, great. And then we flip it down. Then we have the different inputs here. Now, of course, you can also enter the menu by holding this power button. And then you can adjust sleep when it goes to sleep, if you want to go 15, 1 hour, or never. You have the display option, which dims the display to different levels. You also have the auto in option, where you can set the auto in if it's supposed to turn on when it gets a signal, or just switch, not turn on. There's a whole lot of ways to adjust it, so it's customized for your system at home. And also for things like TVs and some streamers, they might send out a signal even though there's no sound coming, which will trigger this to turn on.
Yeah, like a TV that is updating in the middle of the night or something.
Yes,
like that.
and then this one turns on. There's no sound coming, but it's a bit scary when your whole system just turns on in the middle of the night. So this one has a function where you can actually set it to detect if it's an incoming signal or if it's a signal with audio as well. Okay. It takes a bit longer if you use the audio version, but it's a bit, I don't know, it feels a bit safer because it doesn't do anything without you wanting it to.
Yeah, so it doesn't turn on if it's just a pulse or some
That's true.
nonsense signal. It has to be an audio signal.
Absolutely, yeah.
That's very cool that you have the option there.
Mm.
Was there more relevant questions, or should we move on?
Well, John is asking if it has streaming on board.
Does it have streaming on board?
No. No. It is a dedicated race car. It doesn't have windshield wipers. It does not have heated steering wheels. It is a race car, which means it doesn't have streaming. And the reason why we didn't put streaming in is because streaming will attract noise. It will drag noise into the unit, and we don't want that. So that's why.
And there's plenty of good streamers and.
There's plenty of good streamers. Even if you connected with one of our Hegels with an internal streamer, that would be, of course,
sounds really good.
Sound really good.
Yeah.
But if you have a Blue Sound or a WIM or something like that, this is the perfect upgrade for that streamer.
Yeah. And speaking of, you say that this is because of low noise levels and everything. Do you have any numbers on that? Like how low the noise floor and distortion and stuff like that?
Yeah, so the noise floor, I'm sure it's all the specs are on our webpage by now, but the noise floor we've measured it to is minus 150 decibels.
That's insane.
That's insane.
That's nothing.
And the distortion levels are 0.002% distortion.
I think you forgot
0.0002.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. 1 0 more. Yeah. Well, it is low. It is in fact so low. Those numbers are so low that we don't actually know if it's the noise floor of this unit or if it's the noise floor of the measurement gear we are using that we are measuring. it might be that this goes lower, but the measurement gear just doesn't go that far. So it's negligible. I don't know.
Negligible.
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 Yes. So yes, it is. But I mean, those measurements. There's a standard to audio measurements in all audio, which says that you need to have watts, receive that way, or whatever. But it doesn't really capture the sound, all these measurements. It captures something about the quality, but it captures nothing about this timing stuff that we care so much about that makes it sound natural. Because the human ear can pick up on time errors that are, according to a paper I just read, is like 20 microseconds. And a microsecond is a millionth of a second. Nobody measures that. Nobody posts those numbers out there. What's the timing difference in the systems? And it has to do with the complete system that it's well screwed together, but this is like the beginning. And if you get it wrong there, then everything else can't become better. This is, So it is really important, and it does improve sound a lot. But it is a racehorse. It doesn't do everything, but it does one thing really, really well.
Yeah, I think that's really cool. I love, having dedicated components like this that just do their job best in class.
Yeah.
Instead of doing all the jobs kind of in the middle, mediocre.
Yeah, no, I mean, and this was designed like one of those products. Like, how far can we push the limit? And to push the limit as far as possible, we need to make it as simple as possible, because that's when you get the absolute best results.
Yeah.
That being said, when you connect it, I mean, we talked about the USB connection being probably better if you connect it here. But if you're going to connect it to any other input, the best would probably be the BNC on shorter runs, because it's a true 75 ohm resistor all the way, so it doesn't change the signal in any way on across the cable. But then it's important to know that that cable is a true 75 ohm.
Of course.
And when developing this, we bought a lot of different cables and measured them. And even though they said on the package it's true 75, it wasn't. It had a delay in the plug or somewhere. So having that true 75 ohm plug will make the connection better and the whole thing better.
Cool. Should we maybe talk a little bit about like price point, availability, where to buy, how to buy, all of this technical stuff?
Well, it's not very technical.
Logistical stuff.
Logistical stuff. Yes, it is. So, price point: 4,900 euros and US dollars. Well, 4,895 euros to be exact. The euro price, they want to lower it by 5 just to make it look a bit prettier, but 4,900 US dollars.
Yeah.
What it turns out in your local currency, I mean, you have to check the
we don't know
calculator.
All the currency conversions, no?
No, we don't. But I'm sure people are starting posting this online on your local dealers now, so you can check it out there. When it's in May, so we begin shipping from Oslo in May, and we expect that to hold true, but of course it depends on shipping and if there's any delays because of something, but May you should be seeing them in your local dealer store. Yeah.
And of course, here in Scandinavia, HiFi Klubben will carry Hegel. So if you're Scandinavian, definitely stop by one of our stores to check them out. Yeah. And I guess you have a lot of retailers all over the world. I mean,
I've lost count a long time ago, but we have around 70 countries where we distribute, and most of those countries post the retailers on our webpage, so you can see it on our webpage. Just click on your continent and your country, and then you can scroll to your nearest dealer. Or if not, there's always a distributor link so that you can contact them and check out where can I actually listen to this. Yeah. Because it is a specialized product, so it's not sure that all dealers in the world will have this at display or for demo. But I'm sure the distributors can get hold of it somehow so that you can listen to this. Because one thing is me telling you about it and him saying it is good. Another thing is experiencing it for yourself with the system. You know, it is just amazing.
Yeah. Take our word for it.
Question from Richard.
A question.
In your opinion, what sounds the best? The H400 with the new DAC or H600 standalone?
What sounds better, the H400 with this DAC or the H600 standalone? That's actually a quite difficult one.
That is a difficult one. I mean,
can I try to answer?
Yeah, absolutely.
I would say it definitely would sound different. I haven't tried that specific comparison. Maybe you have, but as I said, we tried the H360 with this DAC compared to the H400, which is, you know, it's kind of a similar type of jump, and the sound. There wasn't a clear winner. It was very different. I think the H360 with the standalone DAC had a more airy and open image, sound stage, but the H400 clearly had more control over the speakers because of the increased power.
Yes. Well, it's not. Yeah, and that is what I would say here as well. It will be a different sort of upgrade because the H600 has more power, but on the digital side, I wouldn't hesitate. I mean, if the power isn't like a thing that you worry about, if you have easy to drive speakers, I mean, all speakers do benefit from that power, but the difference in pure quality and sound staging you get when connecting this to an H400 would, in my book, far surpass what it would be connecting to an or upgrading to an H600.
Yeah, so in your opinion, it's actually a clear answer that the H400 plus the DAC would sound better.
As long as you use digital sources, absolutely.
And as long as the speakers are, you know, they have enough power.
Absolutely easy to drive, and I mean the 400 is a beast of an amplifier. It would be hard pressed to find like commercial speakers that isn't driven nicely by that.
Absolutely.
But in all honesty, I think I would go for the D50 400 combo. That being said, D50 600 combo is even better.
Of course, that's the best one.
No, but go listen to it yourself. Make up your own minds, because all of our ears are different. We perceive sounds differently. We choose different speakers, different brands of electronics based on our hobby, how we like the sound to be. And if you like it more powerful and punchy and a bit more relaxed because of that extra power, maybe this one isn't for you, then the H600 is it. But if you like the detail and the bigger sound stage, then this one will be your thing.
Yeah.
So, it's hard to say.
And in my opinion, if that's the kind of properties of the sound that you're after, the bigger sound stage and the definition and stuff, I haven't heard another product that does it in the same way that this product does it. So I think for a lot of people out there, this is the kind of the missing link that you're looking for to get that final polish on an already really good system.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it is. And so serious dealers, Hegel dealers will have this for sure in their demo, and they will probably demo it to as many people as they want, because it is a really cool demo to do with this, because it is so easy for everyone to pick out the differences. Even if you're off-center to the side, which most of you guys were when you were a group here, people there said...
The guy at the like very far edge of the sofa, basically only hearing one speaker, he was like, what? As soon as you plugged it in and turned it on. It's insane.
So I would say demo it yourself. For any audio gear, be it speakers, electronics, cables, what have you, you need to experience it for yourself. Is it worth your money, and do you think the improvement is worth the wallet or the money that you need to put down for it? That is not something anyone else but you and perhaps your bank account can decide.
Any more questions now? I think we're pretty much done with the stuff that we wanted to talk about. So any last questions, we'll be happy to answer them now. Otherwise, I think we'll start rounding off.
and as I said, there should be reviews and people other than us talking about it coming out online today and in the coming period. It won't be in the stores before May, so you have to wait a bit for it, but we will be traveling shows with it. So right now it's in Bristol, I think. So tomorrow you can check it out in Bristol with my colleague Christian, which is there. And one is in Hong Kong, and there might be some stuff going on in the US. I'll at least be at Expona there to show it off in April. So we are going to be touring everywhere and showing this and showing what it does. And also, at least here in Scandinavia, we'll try to bring some older Hegel amplifiers to show you the DAC loop and what it does to older Hegel gear.
Nice.
Yeah.
We have another question.
Yes, Ruben asked if it was available in Champagne.
Yes. No, it's not available. It has one color option, like most Hegel gear. It's available in black, and then you can get it in black, and also you can get it in black.
Yeah. Just to sum up, the question was, is it available in champagne color?
Yes, yeah, it's not available in any other color than black.
I mean, there is a solution to problems like that.
Absolutely. Don't do this at home, though. I don't know if this is a working sample or if it's a dummy, but yeah, there are customers that have actually done it. But one of the reasons why we don't have a lot of colors is, one, there's not much demand for it. Black is like the go-to color for anything, and the more variations you have, the more stock you have, the more hassle comes with that, the more costly it gets because of the different color variations.
Yeah.
Having one color variation means that we can lower the price even further. It automatically turned off. Thank you. But also because color variations might look good on the pictures, but doesn't look good in real life. And I mean, just working out how to get this black as we want it has taken us years. And we've had issues with our white products as well, because the quality isn't consistent enough. So that is also a reason, and that pushes price and cost up, which is something we don't like to do.
Nice.
All the components that we use in here are sourced through regular sources. Because we make everything ourselves, it's not sprinkled with HiFi stardust or anything like that. It is us that drive the cost of this product, and we want to keep it as low as possible.
Nice. Another question?
Yeah. Is it possible to use the H600's built-in streamer and play through the D50?
Is it possible to use the H600's built-in streamer and play through the D50?
Yes.
Absolutely.
Shall I show you how to connect it? Just the DAC loop stuff?
Do I hear yes?
Yes.
Yes.
All right.
I think
let's show you how to do it.
Just also the quick answer is that yes, that's absolutely possible, and now we'll show you exactly how to do it.
Let's turn this around. So this is not an H600, but it's an H400.
Close enough for
So,
this purpose.
what you do is you get a true 75 ohm BNC cable, and you take the digital output of your H600 or H400, but you have an H600, this is 400. So the digital out, put it into this here, the
BNC input
BNC
on
input.
the D50.
And then you need XLR cables connecting from the outputs here to the inputs right here. And you have two XLR inputs, this only has one. But you need to use the XLR1 input because that's the only one it works with. Once that is done, you're all connected with the cables. There's nothing else you need to do there. So let's turn them around and power them on. Do we have one more? Could you have a look? Oh, look. Yeah. Once that is done, you need to activate the DAC loop functionality. And the way you do that On the H400 and the H600, you need to press this to get into the menu. On the older amps, you need to use the remote. You can see that in the manual. You press this all the way 5 seconds, I believe, and then you get into the menu. You go down to DAC Loop, and you can activate or deactivate the DAC Loop. Right now, you also need to activate the network and USB inputs if you're going to use those in DAC Loop. But on a future upgrade, that will be by default activated. So
Nice.
by the time this one comes to the store, I think that will be a default.
Yeah, and then just to summarize, when all this is done and activated, this DAC will basically take care of all the digital inputs, including the streaming on the H600, the 400, and
Absolutely. So
more.
all the inputs you will plug back here, the network, the USB, the whatever,
Yeah.
will then just pass the signal to this one. This one will boot up automatically as long as you've set that in the menu, as I showed you earlier. And you're good to go. You get improved sound of the streaming that you have in here. You can use the app as you're used to. You can use the streaming as you're used to. And all you get is better sound.
Yeah, and it works, just works.
It works every time. Even my
Nice.
children doesn't need to care about this. It just works.
It just, yeah.
Yeah. The young children, the older children would get it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice. Any last questions then, or should we? Yeah, I think we're maybe just about done then.
Yeah, we
Do
are.
you have anything else on your mind that you feel we haven't touched upon?
No, I think we're done. I mean, check it out yourself. I mean, we can sit there talking all night long, but it is something you need to experience.
Yeah, I mean, if we could do an audio demo for you right now, we would definitely want to do that. But of course, that won't translate over Facebook at all. But
No, it won't.
go to your local retailer, wherever that might be, and definitely listen to this product because at least my mind was partially blown by how big that difference is, and just that's the missing link for me that I've been looking for to get that final polish.
Cool.
So.
And thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah.
It's been an absolute pleasure. I was very nervous doing this. First time doing it live. You've been doing it for years, but still, very nice to have you here. And so nice of you to drop by and check out our new DAC. Yeah.
Thanks for watching, and have a nice day, morning, night, whatever it may be further on, and see you next time maybe, who knows.
Yeah, sure.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.